Hello, hello. Today is the day. Okay, so remember when I was a judge for the British Book Awards and I judged the non-fiction lifestyle category and we all had a great time and I read lots of cook and food related books? Well, that was fun. And then the bookseller, the magazine, the people who run the Nibbies, the British Book Awards, got back in touch with me and they were like, Hannah, would you like to be a judge for the inaugural Speakies Awards? Which is audiobook awards, which, if you know me, that is my preferred method of consuming books, consuming literature, and I squealed. And that's not even the best thing. When I got back to them and said, why yes, of course, I would absolutely love to be a judge for the Speakies. Which category are you thinking for me to judge? They replied, sci-fi and fantasy. Sci-fi and fantasy is one of my favourite genres and probably the genre I listen to most on audiobook form. So here we are. Literally as I was leaving the flat on my way to pick up my 3-year-old, he is now inside playing with his father, I received the email with the shortlist. There are 6 books on this shortlist and I have around 4-5 weeks to listen to them all. Am I scared because sci-fi and fantasy is notoriously a genre with really long books? Yes. But would I rather this genre with the length of books than any other? Yes, I would. It is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. Okay, but the shortlist is in. And actually, in order to be able to get this done, I'm planning on making a spreadsheet because I'm going to need to know how many hours I need to dedicate to this project. Now, similar to with the British Book Awards, it's not actually required of judges to read the whole book. And it turns out that is the same for this awards as well. So they've said that judges have to read a minimum of 2 hours of each book. The other thing worth noting is the criteria of which I am judging, and there are 3. We've got storytelling, performance and production, because this is audiobook judging specifically, and so I'm very excited about that. I wonder if the writing would come under the storytelling aspect, because obviously it's a book that has been read out loud, but it had to be written first. But okay, right, here we are, the shortlist, and then I need to look up how long all of these books are. Okay, so we have Be Speaker by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Never heard of it. Cool, exciting. Then we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Okay, I've read The Invisible Life of Adley LaRue. I'm assuming because it being an awards, it's recent books within the last year that have been published. I've not read this one, but I've seen a lot of the promo and press. Is this the one that she keeps saying is about lesbian toxic vampires? Is it the lesbian toxic vampires book? We will find out. I think yes. Then we have Count Zero by William Gibson. No clue. Exciting. Ooh, and then we have Doctor Who, Agent of the Daleks by Steve Lyons. I used to love Doctor Who so much, and it's not that I don't love it now, I just haven't really watched much of it since Matt Smith. I watched a bit of Peter Capaldi. David Tennant is obviously my Doctor forever and ever and ever. And I watched the recent Christmas specials where David Tennant came back and so did Catherine Tate. And so exciting. I've never read or listened to a Doctor Who book before. Ooh, next we have a book that I know of, Queen Bee by Juno Dawson. So I have read the first 2 books in Her Majesty's Royal Coven series. The 3rd and final of the trilogy, I think, just came out, Human Rights, and I haven't read that yet. And the first 2, I listened to them in audiobook form. And Queen Bee is a novella, I think, that came out between 2 and 3. And it's about, I believe, the origin of Her Majesty's Royal Coven with Queen Bee. Anne Boleyn, of course. And I love Juno Dawson and her writing, so very excited to listen to that, especially because I wasn't actually planning on reading that. I was just going to go straight into Human Rights, but now I have an excuse to read Queen Bee. And also, it's a novella, so it will be short, even though it's fantasy. Lucky me. And also, the books are narrated by Nicola Coughlan. Iconic woman. And then we have The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan. Oh no, I'm nervous about this. Oh wait, now I'm worried that there's gonna be some like mid-series books in here. So if Shadow Rising is like book 3 of a series, I don't know. It's gonna be a bit confusing for me going in halfway. Or are these all gonna be like standalones or just like book 1s? I don't know. Queen Bee, because it's a novella and it's like a historical thing, I'm guessing you don't need to have read the rest of HMRC to get that. Luckily I have. Now it's time to actually look up these books. So let's start with Bee Speaker. Interesting cover. That looks more like a wasp to me than a bee. Oh no, it's number 3 in a series. I'm just gonna have to read synopses of 1s and 2. It's number 3 in the Dogs of War series. Maybe this is why for the judging they say you only have to listen to a minimum of 2 hours, because actually like what you're judging is the audio book and not the book or the writing. I don't know. And so it might be confusing reading a whole book where you're like jumping in the middle of a fantasy series. It's 448 pages. So how many hours is that? Quite a lot, I think. Okay. Not too bad. 13 and a half hours. Not bad. So the audiobook is narrated by the author, Adrian Tchaikovsky, and also Rod Hallett and Gabrielle Nellis-Payne. So we've got 3 narrators. That's always very exciting to me. Let's see what sample Zigzag gives us.
For Keris, Phil, and Roland, and in fond memory of Jacqueline Pierce. Part 1, Business.
Business.
Chapter 1, Fragments Cohering. We dance the dance of ruin.
Okay, I like it. Okay, next we have Bury Our Bones. Yes, this is the Toxic Lesbian Vampires. Right, so this one's a bit longer. It is 18 hours and 26 minutes, narrated by Katie Leung, Marissa Kalin, and Julia Whalen. Julia narrated The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and also she's narrated like basically all of Emily Henry's books and some Taylor Jenkins Reid as well, and I love her and her voice, so Julia! Then we have Count Zero. Ooh, 308 pages. So what? Wait, what? This was published in 1986. Oh wait, but I'm judging the audiobook, which I guess has been produced recently. Okay, but it's an older book. Interesting. Okay, so it is also a series, so it's the second in the Sprawl series. This is going to be confusing, and I'm assuming it's this audiobook. It's hard to tell because some of these audiobooks were published. So is it the one narrated by Jonathan Davis? Yeah, it looks like there's been more than one audiobook. So I will find out. This one is 11 and a half hours long. Do you know what? None of these have broken 20 hours yet, so we're doing good. Right. Doctor Who, Agent of the Daleks. Oh, it's short! Oh my god! Okay, it is read by Maureen O'Brien with Dalek voices by Nicholas Briggs. So is this an audio version of an episode of Doctor Who? Which would explain why it's 1 hour and 15 minutes long. Well, I'd be listening to all of that one. Oh, exciting. Okay. I don't know. It looks like it's one of the older episodes. It's an older Doctor that I do not recognize. And then Queen Bee. Okay, so this was Her Majesty's Royal Coven 0.5, I guess because it's like set pre all of the other ones. 200 pages long, which gives us 4 hours 58, so 5 hours. Wow, I've really gotten lucky here with this category. I was like ready for some 50-hour-long Brandon Sanderson, but not really. And then The Shadow Rising. Let's find out about this one. Ooh. Oh. Okay, I was like, I recognize the kind of like style of that cover. It's because it's The Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan. Oh shit, this one's long. But this is The Wheel of Time number 4. Okay, my husband Dan has read like I think the first Wheel of Time book. He listened to that and then we both watched the series, but only the first series, and then we were like, and didn't continue. So I'm just going to be reading the 4th Wheel of Time book. Fuck. But this book is from 1992, so is there a more recent audio book that's been released. Again, interesting. It must be this one. So Rosamund Pike is the narrator, who is an actor on the show. And hello, we've broken 40 hours. This one is 41 hours and 13 minutes. Okay, I don't think I can justify committing 41 hours to a book 4 in a series, and considering the criteria in which I'm judging, I think I'm going to have to bust out the rule of I only have to listen to a minimum of 2 hours. I mean, if I get into it, I get into it and I'll keep listening, but I'm not going to put loads of pressure on myself to finish that one. Maybe if it was a book 1 in a series, I would have gone for it, but yeah, that seems tricky. But Rosamund Pike, great actor. Okay, those are our books. I am now going to download all of the files that they sent me of them and find a way to play them on my phone. And I'm going to make this spreadsheet so that I make sure I've listened to everything that I want and need to have listened to before judging day. Okay, I need to go and finish making dinner now. Let's get reading/listening, which listening to audiobooks counts as reading, just so we're all on the same page. Have I started listening to any of the audiobooks? No. Have I got a spreadsheet? Yes. And the other thing that I've done is I've taken all of the files of the audiobooks that I have been given as a judge, and I've figured out a way to download them and make the files continuously playable on my phone, which basically involved downloading VLC player, not used that in a while, and then moving the files over there. So now I have my own makeshift audiobook app specifically for this project. The only thing is that I don't think my spreadsheet's gonna work, because it's about tracking how many hours I've listened to, but because it's still done in tracks, and each track might be just like, I don't know, 10 minutes long, say, there's no way of me knowing actually how far through the book I am total. So maybe we won't use the spreadsheet. And actually, considering that one of them is just over an hour long, another one is 5 hours long, and then we've got 13, 18, and 11, and then 41. So the total amount of hours of all of the audiobooks in the sci-fi and fantasy category is 91. This is significantly less than what I was expecting. Because the other thing that I have done in preparation for this is bought myself some crafty things to do with my hands in the evenings to occupy myself whilst I'm listening to the audiobook, so I'm not just like sat here on the sofa just like in my evening. So I have an embroidery craft kit to do, and then also at the beginning of September I may have treated myself to a new Lego Wicked themed bookends. They're obviously pink and green, and our bedroom where my bookshelves are, which need bookends because books keep flopping down, our bedroom is pink and green. And so I was like, oh, perfect. So hopefully halfway through this listening reading vlog, my new Lego kit will also arrive. But I'm feeling good. I think I'm gonna just crack on tomorrow morning and listen to the Doctor Who one, because I find it quite nice to like start with a quick win to get the ball rolling. And then I'm thinking either Queen Bee or the V.E. Schwab books, one of them maybe, and then save the other one for the end. I don't know. Basically, because Beekeeper, Count Zero, and The Shadow Rising, those three are the ones that are all mid-series books. So I feel like I'm going to find those the hardest to get into. So I'm going to start with easy, supposedly easy to get into books, like standalones essentially, and then also finish on one of those, I think is my plan. Wish me luck!
The base had been under siege for 6 days. Shyla had hardly slept in all that time. She was listening to music, which someone had said might...
Right, day one, and I've finished the Doctor Who one. That was always going to be the quickest. It's like an hour long. It felt very nostalgic being back in the Doctor Who world, and I even kind of shed a tear when the title music played. I was like, oh my god, just like fully taken back. And then there's Daleks in this story as well, so hearing the Daleks' voices, exterminate, oh my god, the whole thing just like fully sent me back. But I do have some thoughts about the production of it. They kept adding like a weird echoey sound effect anytime the narrator did dialogue, and I don't know why. Is that to distinguish between when the narrator was narrating versus when they were like speaking as a character? But I don't think it needed it, because she was doing the voices as well, but then there was just like this added sound effect to it that made it sound like they were all talking through speakers rather than actually like physically talking. It was very odd. It was a choice. Not sure if I liked the choice. But I'm now going to start on Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. This one's 18.5 hours long, so nothing I'm not accustomed to. I'm going to try and finish this one. I'm going to just do one at a time. I don't think I can do like listening to multiples like alongside each other. We just go in for one and then we finish it and then we move on to the next. But I just want you to hear the beginning of this and the opening credits.
Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, read by Marisa Callan, Katie Long, and Julia Whalen.
Maria.
Oh, as soon as I heard that, just Maria. That's Julia Whelan's voice.
Maria died 1532.
I love her voice so much.
Santo Domingo de la Calzada, Spain,
Oh, shit.
1521.
I'm fine.
The widow arrives on a Wednesday.
Okay, I'm fine. Everything's fine. All right, I am 2.5 hours into Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, so I'm over the amount that I need to listen to. And actually, I was just reading over the judging criteria, and it makes sense. So the criteria for judges is storytelling and performance. So this is for the narrators, the actors, pacing, style, characterization, clear pronunciation, all of these kinds of things. And because it's an audio first awards, it's about where has voice been used to amplify the story? Like what has voice added to it? Like how has it enhanced the text, you know? I like this because it's about the adaptation of a text to audio. And there are definitely some books out there that I would say that yeah, the audio experience of that was just like so good, and it did take it to another level, or it was like a different experience in itself listening to something on audio. One of the books I would put in that category that is also sci-fi is Project Hail Mary. Excellent audiobook. So there's storytelling and performance, and then the other criteria is casting and production. And so this is where I'll be able to do some judging from listening to it, but also the entries have got like accompanying material that have been submitted by the publishers in terms of like how they decided who they would cast and the process of producing it, especially if it's like a multi-cast audiobook. How did they manage that logistically? And so yeah, I'm very excited to dive into the behind the scenes of how all of them were made as well. So it's also looking at the role of producers and directors and their decisions in how the audiobook came to be. But then in terms of what I can like hear and listen to in the audiobook, it is the quality of it. I have listened to audiobooks, it's painful for me to say, where you can hear like the breaks of breathing and like the cuts just like haven't been as clean. And this is always the case with sound editing, which is that good sound editing you don't notice because you don't want to notice the editing. Like if you can hear the editing, then that's bad editing. And I have listened to some audiobooks where I'm like, oh, that was painful. Why was there such like a long pause there? Or I could literally like hear mouth noises that weren't like meant to be there. So I'm listening out for things like that. All good so far. But with knowing that that is the criteria, I can see why I would only need to listen to like at least 2 hours to get a sense of all of those different things. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to a bit more of Bury Our Bones because I want to see who voices the other characters that I've not met yet, because it'll be interesting to hear what the narrators do in terms of their performance, if they're narrating two different characters, if they do anything different, if that characterization is there. So I definitely want to get further enough through this to be able to make a note of that, and then I'll probably move on to another one for the judging. But I will probably come back to Bury Our Bones just for like personal listening. But yeah, I want to get up to there for judging purposes and then move on. But right now I need to remove these holiday nails and do some new ones because I'm going to a festival this weekend, so I want some new sparkly nails, and so that is the perfect activity to do whilst listening to an audiobook. So let's go. Okay, I'm halfway through Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and I'm gonna leave it there because I'm feeling good about, understanding the audio production and the performance and everything. Although I am enjoying the story enough to finish it in the future. We were away at the weekend and I did no listening, no reading, but I'm back. And I've started listening to Be Speaker by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This one was hard to get into at first, but I'm slowly getting there. And this is just the case with any sci-fi fantasy, really, especially like the long ones. But this one also has 3 narrators, one of them being the author themselves. And I'm struggling to figure out who I'm listening to. Originally, I thought I'd heard all 3 speakers, and then a woman's voice just popped up in the latest chapter that I just started listening to, and I was like, hang on a second, are there meant to be 4 narrators? So 1 or maybe more of these narrators are doing an incredible job, because I honestly thought that they were different people, like the performance wise. There's this character Cricket who we get 3rd person chapters from. I think they're meant to be like human-esque, some version of human. The world building I'm still getting to grips with, because this is meant to be a book 3, I think, in a series. So story wise, I feel like I'm grasping as much as I possibly can. But the Cricket chapters, I wasn't really vibing with the narration. I found it quite boring, but I think they are meant to be the kind of like straight man neutral character, because then the following chapter was 1st person, and it was from the perspective of this bioform dog, so like a mutated dog that's like some kind of like giant monster, but it's been made in this factory, and it's got a feed and is speaking to like the people who work in the factory. And the characterization of this bioform dog was honestly incredible. Like, you're in this dog's head, and there are some parts of it that are still like the way dogs are in our world now. So even though they have been transformed into something else and they can speak and they can understand words, like this dog was having like worries and an existential crisis, but then it was all soothed when its like master called it a good boy. And it was such an incredible performance. I was honestly just completely swept away by it. I do sometimes think that when something is written in the 1st person, it's a lot easier for that narrator to like really go for it in terms of the performance, the characterization, and like as if what they are doing is delivering a monologue by that character. Like, that's what it felt like. Whereas when you are a narrator and you're reading something in the 3rd person, like your character, like who you are, is the narrator plus doing the dialogue for all the other characters. So I don't know how much of it is because that was 1st person rather than in 3rd person, but my God, I was just blown away. It was so cool, and I haven't had any more chapters from that character or that voice since. There's been a couple other 1st person chapters, and honestly, other than there's like a woman voice and then there's this man's voice, but then Adrian Tchaikovsky, the author, is also a narrator, but I think I saw somewhere that he only does like the bee voices or something, I don't know. So I'm like, is this other narrator just like doing all of these characters? Honestly incredible. Even though I don't like one of the versions of it, but that's the 3rd person one. Woo! Anyway, I'm like an hour and a half into this one, so I need to give it a bit more time, especially because I'm not 100% sure if I've heard all of the narrators yet. So we're gonna keep going with Be Speaker for a little while longer. Oh, hello, short hair. Timing this vlog. All right, folks. I'm listening to these audiobooks in such a way that is not how I normally listen to audiobooks, so I'm feeling a bit discombobulated, but here's where we're at. I stopped listening to Be Speaker about 3 hours in. I felt like I got a really good sense of the production and the narrators. However, I'm still not sure if I've heard the author's parts yet, because the author is listed as a narrator on the book, so I'm not sure if I've heard everybody. We've also not met the bees yet, or the bee. I'm not entirely sure if bees is like bees singular, plural. Are they one entity, many entities? I don't know. So I might have to come back to that one after I read the like accompanying material that the publishers have sent over that might reveal some more secrets. But for now, I've put that one on pause and moved on to Count Zero, which is another one of our like sci-fi ones that is mid-series. I think this one is a book 2 or something, and I'm about an hour and a half into Count Zero. Hang on. Before we talk about Count Zero though, I need you to hear my favourite character voice from Bee Speaker, which is the Scottish bioform dog. You heard that right. Deacon, the dog. Deacon. Just listen.
Chapter 3, Deacon.
Deacon.
I smell the little man's fear of me. It is as though there are strings tying my body to the glands of his. I move in such a way the reek of him intensifies.
Wow. I'm so excited to get in the room with the other judges. I don't even know who the other judges are for my category yet, but I'm so excited to have conversations around like the actual judging criteria and trying to be objective judges versus subjectively just being like, I just loved that voice, or that voice just didn't gel with me. I'm just very curious to hear other people's thoughts and opinions. I just want to see if I can get a bit more of Deacon. Hold on.
They fear you. If they can destroy you, they will. You are all that's left of the old world.
I don't know why I love it so much. It's a bioform dog. I don't know why they went with that voice actor and that voice, but it works. It works. Right. Okay. Moving on. Count Zero. We have 3 narrators in this one too. Lots of multiple narrator books. And honestly, story-wise, I've no fucking clue what's happening. Bee Speaker, I could follow a bit. I felt like I was like getting it. This one, honestly, hour and a half in, and I'm still just like, what on earth? So I'm trying just to laser focus in on the audio, the production, the storytelling, the narration, the performance, the voices. But it is hard when I'm struggling to follow the narrative. But we've got 3 different narrators. We've got 2 men and 1 woman. Our first narrator is an interesting one because he has a very satisfying narrator voice, like your kind of classic deep, just kind of like tickles your earbuds or whatever. So he has this great voice, but he doesn't change it. It's very monotonous. So it's all well and good being blessed with a naturally good storytelling voice, but if you don't do anything with it, like different voices for different characters, albeit in the last chapter that I listened to, there was an Australian character, and so there was some Australian accent attempts, but it just wasn't very convincing. And then when characters are talking to each other where the nationality isn't disclosed, or it's just like neutral American man, the voices are the same. So there's like a whole conversation happening between 2 people and they sounded the same. And that doesn't mean that every narrator or every good narrator does voices. Like sometimes you can just be a spectacular narrator, like using your own voice and like telling the story and reading the story. But for an audiobook awards, it's not like selling it to me. And then the fact that it's all kind of the same, it means it just kind of washes over me a bit more and I'm like less engaged as a listener. However, I will say the P sounds, so when you're recording sound, those sounds tend to be the ones that are more likely to like pop in the mic and cause like a peak or a crackle, but they are very satisfying. So the sound engineer, audio production person on this, all those P's are so satisfying. They're so good. The second narrator, I find her voice a bit more annoying. It's not really like my kind of voice, but she's damn good at doing character voices. So that's an interesting one. And then narrator 3 is kind of like fine so far. Nothing is like standing out for me, but I haven't spent as much time with that narrator. So there we are with Count Zero. I think because I'm really struggling with the story in this one, I'm going to listen up to the required 2 hours and then move on to the Wheel of Time book. I can't remember what it is because that's the 40-hour. Again, it's like a mid-series book. So I'll do the 2-hour listen and then I will look at the documents that the publishers have sent over and read through those and see if there's any more listening that I need to do just to make sure I really feel like I've got a sense of the books. And then, of course, I'm saving till last Queen Bee because that one's just 5 hours long. So I'll probably just like allow myself to finish that one. And then when I'm done with all of those, I'm going to pick back up Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil and finish that book. Do I remember where we're up to in that book? No, I don't. Yeah, so there we're at. I do feel very confused. I think listening to snippets of audiobooks and like stopping partway through is really throwing me off. I'm feeling very audiobook dizzy, but I'm doing my best. Also, I know I promised crafting, but I've been getting a lot of my listening done just on my walks and out and about, or like when doing chores around the house. However, my wicked Lego thing should be arriving next week. So I did promise some crafting and some Lego, and so hopefully I will deliver. Also, my outfit today, very wicked core. Back to listening to Count Zero. Da 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 da, da 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 da. How do I open this thing? Da 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 da, da 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 da. Glinda and Elphaba bookends. That's the outside, and then it's got inside. They are. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ooh, I can hear all the pieces. I can hear all the pieces. I can't remember exactly how many pieces this one is. I think it's a lot. This is going to be a great activity for some more audiobook listening. Yes, yes, yes. This is why I purchased it in the first place, even though I've made my way through most of the books by now. I have listened to 2.5 hours of The Shadow Rising by Robert, I forget his name, Wheel of Time guy, Robert Jordan, narrated by the one and only Rosamund Pike. And it is book 4 in the series, but I'm very glad that I have at least seen season 1 of the TV show Wheel of Time, because that has given me some foundational world building knowledge so that I'm not completely lost. However, events from the season 1 have massively moved on since then. So I'm like, oh, that's what that character's up to now. And a lot of the characters' names I've also forgotten, so I'm like, who is that? Anyway, so plot-wise, it is a silly endeavour to carry on listening. Although Rosamund Pike narration is so good that if I were to, at some point, decide that I want to try and conquer the Wheel of Time series, there's the Michael Kramer and Kate narrated ones, but then Rosamund! Yeah, she's that good that I think that she might be the way that I go if I do decide at some point to read Wheel of Time. Excellent. Oh, it says here, 1,327 pieces. So I think it's smaller than our Lego Rivendell, but it's still a big one. Okie dokie. I mean, it's just bags. There's bag number 3. Oh, Lego! Love this for Lego, because when we did our Rivendell one, all of these bags were plastic bags. Paper bags, Lego! Yes! Okay, we love to see it. I mean, all of the pieces are obviously plastic, but like my Lego Rivendell set is not going into landfill. That's staying in my home forever. I will pass it down to my children. Okay, it's significantly smaller than Rivendell because this one has 1 booklet, I think. Rivendell had 3 booklets. Oh wow. We've got our stickers. Stickers, keep them safe, keep them safe. Okay, no, we've got 2 booklets, obviously. One for Glinda, one for Elphaba. Which one do I start with? Boop, 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 boop. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Anyway, excitement over. Now is not the time to start building Lego because I need to go pick up Rowan in like half an hour. But I had to open it. Oh, thrilled. I am going to listen to Queen Bee, all about witches, all about a woman who is betrayed. A woman who is made out to be the bad guy, an adulterous witch, by the king, the wizard, Queen Bee. Maybe it's going to be giving Elphaba vibes, so maybe I need to do the Elphaba one whilst listening to that. Elphaba. I've got my headphones in. I've got my final book ready, Queen Bee by Juno Dawson, narrated by Nicola Coughlan. And turns out the Elphaba book is actually the 2nd book because it wants you to open bag 7. But I have a feeling that that's not going to matter. We are going. I am locked in. Let's go. Okay, I need to pause. I'm only 2 minutes into this and already I'm like, ooh, is this gonna work in audio form as a book? Because that first chapter was literally just a glossary of names of all of the different historical figures and who they were. So obviously it's a kind of like fictional witchy tale of Anne Boleyn, and so it goes through like all of the names of some of her relatives, people in court, Lady of the Bedchambers, Jane Seymour, Lady of the Bedchamber. Didn't realise his third wife, that's where she came from. There was also a mention of Catherine Howard. She comes later. Anyway, but I could not compute the list. Now, I don't have the actual commercial copy of the audiobook. I just have like what the bookseller team have sent me, but I'll be interested to know, hopefully this question is answered in the publishing packets that they've sent over, whether or not this audiobook comes with an accompanying PDF, because if you're reading that as a physical book, that would be such a useful page to like be able to turn back to be like, wait, who the fuck was that person? In audio form, it doesn't work as the same reference guide. It just like the use of it isn't there anymore. It doesn't work. And this is something that I think about a lot as a reader and a listener of audiobooks, but it will be interesting to see where this comes up in the judging criteria. Like, is what you do or don't include as accompanying PDFs part of the production and part of the storytelling? And if no one else brings it up, I might make an argument that it is, because just the mere fact that I've just listened to that list and going back and referencing that is going to be really, really difficult. Just, yeah, my brain is immediately being like, oh, when you're adapting a written story in audio form, these are the things that you need to be thinking about, because that reference list is completely useless to me unless I have it written down. But then how do you make something like that accessible to people who are visually impaired? There's got to be other ways. I don't know what those ways are. Anyway, like 2 minutes in and already I'm like, finished my alphabet bookend, and I've already hit the 2 hours minimum requirement for Queen Bee. This is a lot faster than the Rivendell, let me tell you that, even though obviously I've got a whole other bookend to do, and I believe the booklet for Glinda is a bit fatter than Elphaba's, so I'll be able to get that one done in one night, but look at her. And then we also have the Wizard, and honestly, I'm assuming this is Fiera. Come on. Is that Fiera or is... I can't remember. But he doesn't want to stay stood up. He keeps falling down. And so this is my lovely bookend. I might have to pop Elphaba out because then she'll be like hidden when she's up against the books. But then on this side, we've got our W for Wicked. We've got the train. And this, I'm assuming, is meant to be the Grimmery. And inside, we've got a poppy. What looks like a bed and a map of Oz. Glorious. I'm obsessed. It's so pretty. And it feels pretty sturdy. Like, I'm hoping that that is enough to hold up some books. And if we don't have Elphaba there, it's just a shame that this bit you won't be able to see, because that's where the book's gonna be. Where could we put our team? Could we just like, they're not like stuck down here, but we could, okay, never mind. Okay, it's late. I'm going to bed. Okay, but the only other kind of thoughts that I've had about Queen Bee, the audiobook, is just that Nicola Coughlan is great at accents. I've listened to the other books in this series, bar the finale, bar the third one that's just come out, and she is an excellent narrator. It is interesting though comparing her to Rosamund Pike's narration. I'm comparing them in my head because I think they're the only two books that just have one narrator who tells the entire story, whereas the other ones are multiple narrators. And because Queen Bee, although it is fantastical and there are witches, it is very much like historical fantasy. And so they're based on real people who are from real places. And so Nicola Coughlan is doing the accents from that time, from that region, to the best of her knowledge. In the actual HMRC series, it's set in modern day, so she does all of the regional accents. Whereas for The Shadow Rising, that Rosamund Pike narrates, that is fantasy, like pure fantasy, fantastical world, not based in our world at all. And so the accents are entirely made up, or at least I don't know how much the author intends what the accents are like, but they're not based in our reality, basically. And I think Rosamund Pike is slightly better at doing the men's voices, or she just does it in a similar way that Julia Whelan does her men's voices, which I really like. I'm gonna have to listen to a bit more of this, which I will when I'm doing Glinda, but it's interesting to kind of like think about the intricacies of their performances, in that Nicola Coughlan just does very convincing, really good accents that I know, but I want to listen a bit more for her characterization of like, is she doing a different kind of voice? Is she doing something with those characters beyond just the accent? In the way that I hear Rosamund Pike doing that in The Shadow Rising. Like, it's not just the accent, there's like the tone of voice, the character, I don't know. So both phenomenal and very talented, but it's just interesting doing this judging, thinking a bit more in the details about it. But this has been a successful evening and I'm gonna go to bed. Well, I'm gonna put this on my shelf first, I think. Ta-da! Beautiful. It's so dusty. Queen Bee, and I've finished my Glinda book, and there's the other side. Let's put our witch in there. Oh, stunning, stunning. And we've got Madame Morrible. She doesn't stand up straight. The book that she's holding just like weighs her down. And this guy, Glinda's friend. So I've finished Queen Bee, which other than the hour-long Doctor Who one that I listened to right at the beginning, is the only one that I've finished, technically. I am planning on finishing the V. Schwab one, but I've listened to many, many hours of it already. So tomorrow I'm gonna read through the stuff to do with each audiobook, the production, publishing, behind the scenes. I'm very excited to learn more. And then if I feel like I need a little extra listen to finalize my thoughts on them, then I will do that. But we're all on track, baby. We're all on track. I really started out this process being very worried about how much time I was gonna need to dedicate to this. And then turns out, needn't be worried. Needn't be worried. And also, this Lego just smashed it out over 2 nights. I'm kind of sad that it actually, it's very satisfying, but also kind of sad that the Lego building hasn't taken longer. But this one was just over 1,000 pieces, whereas our Rivendell one that me and Dan did together was like 6,000 pieces. So that took a lot longer. Anyway, let's go put this on the shelf. I'm fine. They're upside down. Da, 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 da. Oh god, I can't reach.
She's little. She's only little.
She's only little. Oh no, wrong way. Oh, balls.
What?
Of course, because she goes this way, because it's 2 bookends for like the same. Oh, feck.
Wrong you.
I can't.
You never used bookends before.
Well, I'd have to like put it this way, and then you don't.
I mean, can you not? It literally just looks like that bit pops off and we'll go on the end of that bit.
Can I do that?
Actually, no, probably not.
I don't think that's how they. Well, no, it is actually built separately.
Do, 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 do. Buh, 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 buh.
We did those ones.
She is green. She's not very happy.
Okay, today's the day. I'm going to read the information sent by the publishers about these audiobooks. And in my inbox this morning, I just received the form that I need to fill out as a judge as well. So it's all coming together. I will report back. Oh, this stuff is so interesting. Okay, I'm starting to have a bit of a ranking in my head which I won't share just yet. But I do think I need to listen to a bit more of Bee Speaker, because I haven't encountered the bees yet, which, according to the thing that they sent in, which I kind of grasped, are a decentralized intelligence, and the bees are narrated by Adrian Tchaikovsky, who's the author. So I definitely want to find a bit in the book that has the bees. And there's lots of other interesting things I learned too. But part of me is like, maybe I should read these things before I get listening, because I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, for instance, Bee Speaker is in fact a standalone book within the universe of this series that he made, the Dogs of War series, which makes sense to me because it was a world that I wasn't super familiar with, but I was able to follow it a lot better than I was able to follow Count Zero, which is like actually a book in a series, like a actual sequel. So that makes sense. And I'm like, oh, it's a standalone, so I could finish that book. And I'm kind of tempted to, because I was enjoying it. And if I get more of Deacon the dog's voice, I'll be a happy girl. But that being said, I do quite like going into them not having the context, and so just purely judging them based on the performance and the audio production, and then adding the context after. So, additional context, Maureen O'Brien, who narrated the Doctor Who story of the first Doctor and companions Vicky and Steve, she was the actress who played Vicky back in the day on the TV show. So I love that casting, that's very cool. What else did I learn? Oh my goodness, it's kind of hard to compare because The Shadow Rising is such a big book compared to some of the others. Like, the Wheel of Time one is 40 hours long, and I think the second longest one is the V.E. Schwab Bury Our Bones one, which is just under 20 hours. But the info that they gave us was about like how long it took to record and how long it takes to edit. And also Rosamund Pike did over 50 characters in that book, and the involvement of the Jordan estate, as in Robert Jordan, the author. I don't know how much I'm allowed to share. I feel like a lot of what's in these documents is confidential, but the preparation and the scale and the scope of that project is immense and extremely impressive. So that's very cool. The other cool, impressive thing about Bee Speaker as well is that we've got 2 narrators plus Adrian, who does the bees. And between those 2 narrators, they do 8 characters. And a lot of the documents talk about casting. And in Count Zero, they talk about finding voice actors who have experience in sci-fi, but also in video games. And that's because that's a like cyberpunk genre, so it all kind of like feels quite fitting as well. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit more listening and then send off my thoughts, my feelings, my judging, my opinions. I'm so excited to get in the room with the other judges for this one. I cannot tell you. I'm like, it's going to be some good chats. Also, there is a part of me that is secretly hoping, I really doubt it'll happen, but if Julia Whelan would be at the award ceremony, highly unlikely. It's not like she specifically is up for an award, because when I was doing some promo social videos for the bookseller for the British Book Awards earlier this year, one of the questions that they asked was, who would be your dream literary dinner date, dead or alive? And I said Julia Whelan, because she's my favourite audiobook narrator. Julia Whelan, she is an author, but what I love her for is she narrates like so many of my favourite audiobooks, and I would love to take her on a date to the Nibbies, because then I could just listen to her voice talk about books all evening. So I just think it's really funny that I said that to the bookseller in a kind of interview thing, and now I'm judging audiobooks and she's one of the narrators for them. And if Rosamund Pike decides to show up, I will not complain. I did just see her recently in Inter Alia at the National Theatre, and my goodness, that woman is incredible. That play, incredible. I was sobbing, I was in tears. That's a tangent, but this is just my brief Rosamund Pike appreciation segment. Okay, I am ready to fill out my judging form. So the way that they want me to do it is to rank my top 3 and then also just write a few quick notes about each one. But the only ones I actually have to have ranked are the top 3, which is difficult because I feel like I very easily know what my like bottom 1 or 2 ranked are, and I know what my top favorite is. And then it's the middle ones that I'm like,
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out the whole form with my comments on each one, and then hopefully that will like solidify for me what my top 3. Okay.
It's judging day! Judging day complete. We have our winner, which I can't tell you right now, but I'm very happy about. But of course I am, because I was in the room when we were judging. The judging room is the most confidential part of this whole process. Like, I can't really share our discussions, what was said about the books. But similar to the British Book Awards experience earlier this year, it's just fascinating being in that room. It's just really interesting to hear other people's thoughts, not just about the books, but about the audio, and I just learned so much through what they're saying. But then I also feel like I'm learning a lot about myself in terms of the things that I deem are important to bring up and be like, no, I disagree. This is what I think. So I guess I will see you at the awards. It is Speakies day. I am going to be wearing this green dress, but I will be taking off the jumper and changing my shoes for the event. But this is the look. I'm going to meet up with friend and fellow judge Michelle for a pre-foodie drinksy thing before it starts. Right, we are fed.
We are fed.
And I've got my heels on and my jumper is off.
And it means we won't be chasing around canapes when they come out at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we are good now until the canapes come at 8. And yeah, we are ready for the Speakies.
My stiletto keeps going into like drain. So if I face plant today, catch it on camera.
Okay, I'll try. So I'm wearing my wedding shoes for the first time since I got married. You know, I wore my wedding dress to the Wicked premiere, so now the wedding shoes are getting their outing. And also round here, we're near Covent Garden, is where I got this jacket and this dress in the shopping video with Sean. So they're getting another little outing, getting that cost per wear down. Ceremony's about to start. David Tennant's here, and I said hello and had a whole conversation with him.
We had a very lengthy conversation and she snuck in very effortlessly.
I'm fine, I'm a totally normal person. David Tennant is obviously my doctor forever and ever and ever. This is other Hannah, who is the judge in my category for the British Book Awards earlier this year. And we just keep bumping into each other at these events. We just know the places to go. I know, love it.
The winner is Ezra Sophie. The winner is Gatsby in Harlem. The history gossip written and narrated by David. The winner is Why Are You Here? The winner is Miffy Storytime. Is the cast of Our Mutual Friend. The winner is Am I Having Fun? The winner is Mark Jacobs. The winner is Rivals. The winner of Audio Business of the Year is Yoto. Their role of Gatsby.
It's quite a workout. I was late, so I'm sat upstairs.
The winner of Best Audiobook Young Adult is Different for Boys. The judges said that the winner of Best Audio Drama News/Original Drama is Restless Dreams. Best Audiobook Fiction, the winner is All My This is Speaker by Andrew Tchaikovsky, narrated by Andrew Tchaikovsky. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Narrated by Melissa Carlin, Katie Young and Julia Whelan. Count Zero by William Gibson, narrated by Alex Wilton Regan, Kyle Soller and Sebastian. Doctor Who, Agent of the Daleks by Steve Lyons, narrated by Maureen O'Brien. Queen Bee by Juno Dawson, narrated by Nicola Coughlan. And The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan, narrated by Rosamund Pike. The judges said, this winning audiobook added depth to the author's blend of history and fantasy and new dimensions to the characters, brilliantly narrated. The winner is Queen Bee!
Hey, Juno is here! Juno!
You really should warn people. We would write nice things. Oh my god, I feel a bit sick now, I'm only a week. This is amazing. And I think there must be a Doctor Who fan on the panel. That's like me, David, Shooty, Mark Gatiss, Nicola. So thank you. This is mad. Huge thank you first of all to everybody at Harper Voyager, my agent Sally Speakies, don't I? But especially Natasha Barden and Fanula Barrett, who was in charge of the audiobook. I'm really, really hoping, and I really mean this sincerely, and I hate being sincere, but I think the Speakies is a really big and wonderful thing, because I really hope it sends out a message that an audiobook shouldn't just be like an extra thing, like a tag on, oh, and we'll do an audiobook, which is kind of how it used to be, especially in children's and YA. But I think now an audiobook, as brilliant as the work that Nicola has done on this, should be as important as the cover and as everything else. But I wanted to save my last big thanks for Nicola Coughlan, who can't be with us tonight because she's in a play at being dead famous. I mean, come the fuck on. How did we get Nicola to do this 4 times? Amazing. She's the busiest woman in the world. I slid into her DMs in like 2021 when the first book in the Her Majesty's World Coven trilogy came out. And I was like, Nicola, have you ever done an audiobook? And she said yes, even though she's literally off of Bridgerton. Because, this is in no small part, and I think she would say this if she was here, that she has always made a real thing out of uplifting trans voices. And so... and Nicola, she's come back and done it 4 times, basically no money. She's done it out of the goodness of her heart for the transsexual. And what she has done with this is extraordinary. If you've not listened, please go and have a listen. She does all the voices. It's amazing. She does Yorkshire. She's amazing. So I'll be making sure that she gets this award, because really, really, truly, this one is for her. Thank you very much.
The winner is Careless People. I'd like to invite to the stage the incredible team behind Gatsby in Harlem.
Thank you. This is my speakie for Best Audiobook in the Science Fiction Fantasy category for Queen Bee. And this really is an award for Nicola Coughlan, who does the most amazing narration on it.
So good! Morning after the Speakies, and guess who can't speak? But yes, the winner in the category that I was judging, Best Audiobook, Science Fiction and Fantasy, was Queen Bee by Juno Dawson, narrated by Nicola Coughlan. The narration in this was just superb. So skillfully executed, and a great story. Juno was there to accept the award. Nicola is currently doing a play at the National Theatre. But it was so great to see Juno, and such a well-deserved winner. But last night was so much fun, such a great celebration of audio. There was audiobooks and audio drama because it was a collaboration between the Bookseller magazine and the Stage magazine. Sally Phillips was hosting and she was incredible. Just such an amazing, funny, warm, talented host. She absolutely smashed that. If you don't know who Sally Phillips is, the place where I know her best from, as many of you probably do, is Bridget Jones's Diary. Just picture a white blonde woman leaning out of a black cab going, "Come the fuck on, Bridget." That's Sally Phillips. So funny. She was amazing. Also, I met the lovely folks at Zigzag. They were one of the sponsors of the event and they gave me a free digital audiobook gift card. I use Zigzag for listening to my audiobooks. So it was very cool to see them there as like an independent, sustainable audiobook seller or like app platform. What are they called? And here's the thing. I'm a fangirl at heart. I will never stop being a fangirl. And David Tennant and Ncuti Gatwa were there. So I did speak to them both because I knew that I would absolutely kick myself if I didn't just go up and talk to them and introduce myself. I happen to have a family friend who knows David Tennant. So that was my lead. And then Ncuti Gatwa, no connection to that man, but I have seen him in 2 plays in London this year. So I led with that. And they were both very lovely. And they both won awards. And David Tennant's wife won an award as well because she narrated the audiobook that won Best Romance, Rivals. But the audio drama that Ncuti Gatwa was involved in won 3 awards, including Audio of the Year, which is where all of the winners from every single category are then judged and one overall winner is picked. And it was Gatsby in Harlem, which is a BBC adaptation of The Great Gatsby set in Harlem. So this is one, because this got a lot of awards. Audio of the Year, it also got Best Adaptation and Best Performance that Ncuti won. So this is one that is up there in one I want to listen to. Also, I don't really listen to many audio dramas. I am more of an audio book gal, where it's kind of just like narration rather than like the whole drama of it. So I think this will be a good first foray into that genre. And then another winner that really stood out to me, which I think I'm going to use my Zigzag voucher for, is the winner of non-fiction memoir, which was Careless People, a story of where I used to work, Power, Greed, Madness, by Sarah Wynne Williams. So I've heard of this book before, heard great things. Sarah used to work at Meta, Facebook, and this is her like whistleblowing book on what is going on at that company. She got up on stage to accept the award, but then kind of had to go, I can't speak. Like, she's been silenced by legal battles with Meta. And so it was her editor or someone from her publishers that got up and did the speech and kind of like spoke on her behalf. That was a very powerful speech and it sold me on this. I'm gonna get it like right now and I'm gonna start listening to it today. So I will report back on that. Unfortunately, Rosamund Pike was not there. Had The Shadow Rising won in our category, maybe she would have been there. But you can't judge based on which celebrity you want to show up at the awards. That's not how it works. But thank you so much, Speakies, for having me as a judge at your inaugural event. There's even a little picture of me in this magazine. Look, meet the judges. There's my face. This was so much fun and such a cool room of people. Bumped into lots of people that I know from various parts of my life and work and things. It's like, oh, you're in audio. Amazing. Thank you so much. This wraps all of the British Book Awards, British Audio Awards judging that I've done this year, 2025. Who's to say if I'll be back in 2026 to do some more judging? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Bookseller, just putting it out there. I'm free. And thank you all so much for watching along. I hope you enjoyed these like behind the scenes-y videos, sharing as much as I can share. I hope that you're all doing well and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.